for Creative Expressions. I have a card today that shows you kind of a different way to use your striplets, and it will accent all the new dies too. Give you a quick peek at what we'll be using. First up, we have the Radiance Striplet. And from our Frames and Tag collection, I have the Gillian die. We're just going to have a couple little accents from the Exquisite Poppy. And I'm only going to be using the center circular dies from the Sydney, but they're really important. And I have the double pierce circles that will create a beautiful frame for today's card. The sentiment comes from a clear stamp set called Fabulous Sentiments too. Okay, let's get started. We're going to do some cutting first, and I'm going to use the Nobles first up, and we'll cut our frame. Oops. So I'm going to pick out a couple of sizes here. I've got one of the, it's the second to the largest. I'm going to just give it a quick tape down, and then I'm going to skip one and then take the next one in. So to give it a little bit of width to it. And we're going to tape that as well. Now I'm going to do some inking, which you can do this before, you can do it afterwards. I personally usually will do it after I cut, just so I don't transfer any ink to my plates, but some people prefer to do it first. It's your choice. Pop that down. And I'm going to give it a quick roll back. Okay, so now, I'll tell you what I'm going to try to do. Keep this into place. Now it's going to be fussy on me. I was going to try and tape that into the back of that. There we go. So I find it's just a bit easier to hold in place. Just put a couple pieces of tape across the back before you start to ink. Go. That should be enough. Pop that down. I'm going to be using the color cloud color called Barely There and a Smoothie. And I'm going to hold it into place, and I think I've got my tape so it's not interfering, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of sponging. I want to keep the ink very light. Just run it back and forth around that channel between the two dies. And it's a rather pastel sort of color anyway, but you'll see when we take the dies away, it does leave a really pretty color to it. There we go. And if you want to dry that with a heat tool, you can add another layer and deepen the color if you like. I like that. Pop that down. And remember, we've got the tape on the back, so let's just remove that carefully. And one more. So I've got a really nice frame where I've got the inking in the center and a really pretty white edge because we've left them in the die, okay? So don't forget to untape them all, put them back into place, and you can reuse that tape. Okay, so I've got one I've done that's got some mounting foam on it, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this in. And our Radiance Striplets. Now I've cut 3 of these out of coconut white. So what I'm going to do is take off all my mounting foam backing. There we go. And a couple more here. And I'm going to put one of them right down the center of my circle. Just try to get it centered there. Like that. Catch those edges. And then the other 2 I'm going to put to the sides, but I'm going to use the corners. So I'm going to clip off the corner from this spot here over to that spot there. Right, like that. And that'll go that way. Make sure I've got the right ones here. There we go. and do this side. And we're going to keep those. Okay, so pop that down. You might have to trim just a tiny bit extra off of there if it shows, depending on how close you get them. Oops, there we go. About like that. So you've got a really pretty, nicely done background there. Now remember these little pieces. So what I'm going to do is take some of the pearls. Now we have the double strip of the white adhesive pearls. So I've cut them down the center just to use a little bit of it. I'm going to pop that off. And that cut edge right there, we're going to hide that. So you won't even be able to see that it's been cut. And I've done the others there. One more. Pop that right across that. Get a hold of that. There you go. And you can tidy up a little bit of the adhesive strips off the ends of them if you like. Okay, so now bring this back in. And I think I'll just add a bit of glue around the edge. There we go. And if you want the striplets to sit nice and flat, I'll tell you what else you can do, is just hit the back with a little bit of spray glue, and they'll sit down really nicely against your card. Pop that down right in the center, like that. There we go. Now I can add a little bit of glue to the backs of our corners. Pop them into place because you have the circle there. You've got this really nice spot to put those corners. And why waste the little end edge pieces from your striplet, especially when they look so cute because they match so nice. There's another one. A little bit of glue on this one. There we go. Pop that up in that corner. And let's get that last one. So there's absolutely no wastage when you use the striplets with your circles. I think that's a nice idea. Pop that into place. So I'll show you how we're progressing. So I've got the pretty background, the matching little quarters. So we're going to build it up from there with our Gillian die. Now I've gone ahead and cut it in white. And I've cut a backing, which is also out of white. And all I've done is I've brought back in the same color cloud, the Barely There, and I've just inked it using the Smoothie. So you can take that color and get an exact perfect match for the center of your focal element. Okay, now before I would glue this, I would definitely dry this with a heat tool. So I'm going to go to one that I've already done that's already dry. And we're going to give it a quick hit with the spray glue. Line that up. Just see if I can get that on. Oh, nice and straight. There we go. I'm going to pop that one in the center. Looks okay. And I've stamped my sentiment, and what I've done is I've taken I'll show you. The Sydney die has two center circular dies, which are perfect for a frame. So I've cut this 2 or 3 times and I've layered it up rather than using mounting foam. So you've got a bit of a raised edge on that. And I did a little bit of inking with the same tone of the color cloud beforehand. Remember, dry it well. You won't be able to get anything to stick to wet ink. And pop that in there. Little mounting foam, that's going to go right in the center here. And we're going to finish up with a couple little flowers. Now, let's see if I can get a hold of these. These are from the smaller of the Exquisite poppies, and I've used a little bit of that same color around the edge, tie in the color, and we'll put a tiny bit of glue on the back here. There. Pop that right there. There's a beautiful little spot for it, and the smaller one, do a little bit of inking around the edge on that one as well. It's very tiny. Pop a little glue on the back, and that can sit right there. It's nice to have just a tiny little floral element to add to your card. Not too overwhelming. Give that a second to set up. And voila, there you go, you've finished it. And I just think those corners are a perfect way to use some of your leftover dye. I think it works great. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. See you soon.